14 days before elections right here in the Philippines. And we have here on the show Legal Network for Truthful Elections and Simbahang Lingkod ng Bayan to talk to us about the possible election offenses, to talk to us about the party list system, and also the TRO on the recent COMELEC resolution involving airtime limits. To my right is Brother Neo Pito Saicon. Welcome to the show, Brother Neo.
Hello, thank you very much.
And we also have from Legal Network for Truthful Elections, we have Robbie. Welcome back to the show, Robbie. Resident expert on legal matters, and also Chai. Welcome back to the show, Chai. Okay. Well, I asked the two volunteers on the first segment, how far do you support the stand of the Catholic Church? Because the Simbahang Lingkod ng Bayan is part of the Catholic Church, right? And well, although you may be non-partisan, you try to be apolitical when it comes to, well, the elections, you are nevertheless an election watch group. Simbahang Lingkod ng Bayan is an election watch group. And so how far can you support, or do you support the Catholic Church when it comes to elections?
Well, as part of supporting and really endorsing names for our candidates for the coming elections, we don't do that. We're really more on education, voters' education. And so we present principles, we present questions to our voters, and names should come from the participants, the voters themselves, and not from us. So in terms of really naming names, we don't do that, like some dioceses probably you've heard of. We don't do that. We do not endorse names. So what we do is we present principles and allow these principles to and compare this with the characteristics or qualities of certain candidates, and from there they will evaluate. They will be the ones to evaluate whether they are for or against these candidates.
But Brother Neo, is there or isn't there a Catholic vote, or is this just a propaganda that some diehard Catholics are, for example, supporting? You, in your heart, you believe that is there or isn't there a Catholic vote?
Well, you have to understand what you mean by Catholic vote. When you say Catholic vote, like another, for example, another religion where they really vote as a block, we do not have that in the Catholic Church. No, there is no such thing. That's why they
as block voting.
However, if you're Catholic and you think that this is someone or this candidate is someone who you think is deserving of your vote, then each vote then is a Catholic vote. But as a block, there is no such thing as a block voting in the Catholic Church.
How about the other movements? How about the white movement? That is also a Catholic movement in relation to the elections. Is that something that the Simbahang Lingkod ng Bayan, for example, supports or contradicts?
I don't think we will support them because, they endorse names. They endorse parties and political parties, and we don't do that. Again, we allow the voters to decide for themselves, to really look at the characteristics, the qualities of this person, and decide for themselves. Again, conscience is more important to us rather than having someone tell us what to do with our votes.
All right, so let's go to the TRO issued by the Supreme Court, and not the status quo anti-order that was issued by, which was erroneously reported in the news. It is a TRO, or temporary restraining order, on the COMELEC resolution. So what is the COMELEC resolution about, Robbie?
It was issued, I think, 2 weeks ago, and basically it would just, as you've mentioned, it's a TRO regarding the airtime limits on the political ads, both on television and radio. If you would like to know, there is basically a history going on with the said TRO. At first, before kasi, we have an aggregate cumulative count when it comes to the political ad count of the minutes. Before, aggregate meaning all the stations are counted into one cumulative count when it comes to minutes. However, during the time of Abalos, I think it was in 2004, the aggregate count was not used. Basically, one station, 120 minutes. That's the time of Abalos. However, in the time of Sixto Brillantes, he made a resolution saying that the vote should be, the count should be aggregate again. However, with the petition from a media network, the SC now offered the TRO. It's not yet clear whether or not it would be an aggregate, it would stop the aggregate vote or not, or it would totally remove the limit. But what is clear is that the COMELEC resolution regarding the aggregate vote as of now is not in function. It's not effective as of the moment. But again, Sixto Brillantes would like to warn the candidates that since it's a TRO, it's not something permanent. The SC may still file something that would remove the TRO and then put back again the aggregate 120, 180 count, the limit. So for the candidates out there, they may think that the political ad limit is inefficient as of the moment, but since it's just a TRO, the SC may still have the last say about it, and within the campaign period, we can really finalize everything.
All right, let's break it down. First of all, there is the election code, which
Yes.
prescribes a 120-minute airtime on national candidates.
Yes.
All right, and then there were two interpretations. Basically, that's what you're saying. One is to count it 120 minutes per station,
Yes.
or to count it in the aggregate 120 minutes all stations during the campaign period.
Yes.
When Sixto Brillantes or Chairman Brillantes issued that resolution, he interpreted the law to mean the 120 minutes as a whole. I mean, all networks are counted.
Yes.
But then, as you said, a media network filed a petition with the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court issued the TRO, meaning it is now, the COMELEC resolution is now not functioning. As you said, it is on hold. It cannot
Yes.
be implemented. Would you know how long the TRO will last with regard to this
I
particular
don't
resolution?
think-
Or will it last until the elections 14 days from now?
I think if it's the SC that released the TRO, it's indeterminate.
Mm-hmm.
They have the power. So as of now, we are in the mercy of the SC.
Mm-hmm.
So if they decide maybe tomorrow to have an en banc resolution about it, they can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But if they wish to pursue it, even after elections, they can also do that.
Mhm. All right, Chai. This interpretation of the Supreme Court, wherein they issued the TRO on the interpretation of the COMELEC, meaning right now any candidate can spend as much as 120 minutes per station on advertising, on political ads. Won't this encourage politicians to spend more for these upcoming elections? And what is
Exactly, that's the thing. I'm thinking, what if they own their own TV station, so they can provide for another 120 there, and then they can buy another. So it really lessens the essence of the law, because they have a cap on expenditure.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have that 120 minutes per TV station, it diminishes the law.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and it will encourage spending, I would think. How about you, Brother Neo? Do you think, is this an unfair interpretation? Should it be an aggregate 120 minutes, or should it be 120 minutes per station?
I really have no expert opinion on that. I'm not able to comment on that right now.
All right, but the argument of the media network is that it inhibits free speech. Or rather, yes, I think that is the argument raised by the media network, that if you impose a limit on the campaign expenditures on TV and on radio, then the voters will not be educated as to who are the candidates. Do you agree with that in that regard?
I think it defeats the purpose of the law, since what's the purpose of the expenditure cap is to level the playing field. And if you're rich, you can spend more than the other poor candidates. So what's the point of the equal representation that the Constitution made for to have that purpose if only the rich people can be candidates, or they're the only people that they can be represented, or they can campaign well, that many people would know them. So defeats the purpose, really.
Yes, and the corollary to that is that if you're only familiar with those who are advertising, then these very same people will try to get back their investment once they're elected into office. And that's something that the Legal Network for Truthful Elections is against, because you're monitoring campaign finance.
Yes.
Is that correct? And this is this is something that both the COMELEC and I would suppose watch groups like you feel like it will not level the playing field. In fact, it will result to unfair advantage to those who can afford political advertising. All right. So, but so far we're at the mercy of the Supreme Court, and the law stays as it is. So we have another TRO. We have another Supreme Court resolution that's relevant to the elections. So can you tell us about the one of the party
It's about
lists,
the
right?
party list. The party list is created by virtue of Article 6, Section 5, Paragraph 1 of the 1987 Constitution. So it was created, and there are three party lists under the party list, which is the national, the regional, and the sectoral.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, we're confusing sectoral representatives with the whole party list, because there's a reserved seat for them during that 1987 Constitution. But the thing it lasts only 40 consecutive terms, and so what the SC did is that they overturned the previous ruling about it, and now national and regional and sectoral are part of the party list representatives.
So there are no more reserved seats for the
Yes.
marginalized. That is what they're saying, and that the Supreme Court has removed the ang Bagong Bayani ruling. So you no longer compute on the basis of that ruling. Is that what the Supreme Court means when it issued that decision?
The thing is, you can have a national, a regional, and a sectoral.
Yes.
Previously, there's this requirement, the marginalized and underrepresented, but now it only applies to sectoral and not to national and regional. So previously, the other party list can also join, like Ako Bicol, the case about Atong Baglaon versus Comelec that overturned it.
All right, let's go to another controversial issue when it comes to the elections, political dynasties. Does the Simbahang Lingkod ng Bayan or the Catholic Church have a specific stand for or against political dynasties, for example?
I suppose in this issue, we are very clear. We are with the Catholic Church when we are against political dynasties. Now, we have seen and there are a lot of issues that Simbahang Lingkod ng Bayan has been handling, which tackles or has brushings with political dynasties themselves. So yes, we are against political dynasties, and this is really something not beneficial to anyone.
And I would suppose that while you are in a university setting, that there would have been studies to that effect, sociologically and in other aspects. There must be a correlation between the development of the country and also the political leadership in the country. And so far, I think no one has been really satisfied with the correlation. Meaning that if we perpetuate those in power who do not even do anything for the voter, then we have a problem. And in that sense, but you don't educate voters on who to vote, as you said. So, but you are against political dynasty.
Yes, so, but this, for example, on political dynasty, then these are issues that we give to them. We tell them, okay, if you have a political dynasty in your area, there are certain members of a certain family are running the local. So we ask them, has there been really any changes, any improvements in their life, any development that it's a win-win where there is a win-win situation, and most of the time the answer is no. And so what do we do? And so again, these comments, suggestions come from our voters, and they would know what to do then from there. So, but it's also clear for us that we are against political dynasty.
Oh, thank you very much. You have, unlike some politicians who do not have any clear stand, the election watch groups actually have a clear stand on political dynasty. What about Lente? Do you think we should finally pass a law about political dynasties after these elections, or what does Lente feel about it?
As I've mentioned, there's no really implementing law when it comes to political dynasties. However, there is a mention in the Constitution that it is not something that is encouraged. We've attended a PCIJ talk which discussed basically the Maguindanao dynasties, and it is both overwhelming, the information that they gave. It's not really the political dynasty that we should be controlling. It's the power that is given to political families. I think, and in that sense, we should see that the power that is held only by a few at the top of the pyramid is something that should be controlled. Not really the political dynasties in the sense that probably the husband or the daughter or the son is running, because they would say that they are capable. However, what we should look at rather is that the power is controlled by a few, and that is where the danger lies. Meaning that if the city is run for almost a decade or 2 decades or more by a certain political family, the power is with them. It's not translated into projects. It's not translated to the people, which is something that Lente is pushing for, which is accountability. It's hard to check accountability if the power is given to only a few and that it is controlled by only a few. When it comes to the legal aspect, again, there is no implementing law, but there, as you've mentioned, there are a lot research is going on. We have college students, we have Citizens Arm that is researching about it. And I think the lawmakers and those in House of Representatives should use that in order to have an implementing law against dynasty.
I think there is no denying that it is in the Constitution, it is prohibited
Yes.
under the Constitution, and that it's about time that whoever gets elected in this coming 16th Congress, they will have to pass a law in relation to political dynasties, because otherwise this issue will keep coming up in the next and the succeeding elections, and we have the presidential elections in 2016, and if there's no political dynasty law passed in this Congress after these elections, then the question will still keep coming up. And for all we know, maybe the people will vote them out of power eventually, because as you said, there has been proof that when power is concentrated on the few, meaning it is centralized, then they are not held accountable for not governing properly. And there is a correlation. Well, in those areas that I would say vote buying is very rampant, that's where you find political dynasties who try to perpetuate themselves in power. And I think what people don't realize, voters don't realize, that with one vote, they can change the political landscape wherever they are, and also they can change the lives of those on top who rely on vote buying or resort to other, to other machinations that are not necessarily in the interest of the public. So, but I don't know, there is no exact violation on political dynasties thus far. So even if you file a case against you are a scion of a political family, then it will not prosper, right? It will not ripen into a case. But nevertheless, we have, for example, the Catholic Church. We have citizens' arms that are spreading awareness, I would say, about political dynasties. And whether or not you want to get involved in a partisan political activity, the mere fact that voters are actually asking, I would imagine there are questions or calls to SLB regarding political dynasties, or not necessarily?
Not necessarily, but I think they're asking more information on is this because of the political dynasty issue coming up in media. A lot of people are really asking, is it lawful? Is it correct to vote them? Because for a long time we've not talked about political dynasty in the media, and so would have questions like that, whether it's lawful or not. But unfortunately, yes, it is lawful at the moment. There's no rule against it. There's no law against voting family members to certain positions. So yeah, we would have questions like that.
All right. Brother Neo, can you inform our viewers what numbers to call in order to, well, to seek election help, so to speak, with SLB or Gabay Halalan?
Yes,
It's camera, please.
Yeah. Yes, if they have questions regarding the elections, whether even if, for example, they want to know their precinct numbers, they can text using the mobile number. They can text using the using code SLB GH 2013 or SLB GH 2013, space your concern, space your name, space your address, and send it to 2327 if you're a Globe subscriber. If you're non-Globe, and it's toll-free if you're a Globe subscriber. If you're not, if it's non-Globe, it's 0917-890-2327. And tele-educators will be back, will get back at you.
All right. Thank you very much, Brother Neo, Robbie, and Chai from Legal Network for Truthful Elections. If you'd like to know more about Lente, please go to their website. It's www.lente.ph. All right. That ends our program for Talk to Harry. 14 days to go before elections. So we hope you've enjoyed the program. Join us again next week right here on GNN. Thank you for watching.
You are what you watch.